Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Victoria Tundu MQ Abiola. Ruben, I will borrow that your term. Evergreen, ever beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. Although the lead story is really nothing to smile about. Train attack. Terrorists release photograph of baby delivered in captivity by abducted woman. Umar expresses dismay, appeals for international community's intervention. Well, that appeal, the international community cannot intervene in a sovereign nation like Nigeria. If Nigeria needs assistance, of course, the president knows what to do. But this picture of this beautiful little girl is something that should render the hearts of any right-thinking like Nigerian. Of course, the terrorists are not right-thinking people, sleeping innocently, oblivious of her situation. It's like it doesn't just get better in this country. We've seen girls in captivity, impregnated, forced into marriage, giving birth to babies, to terrorists. But this one is one that should also taking insecurity to new heights. Unfortunately, babies don't have choice on where they should be born. Otherwise, no baby will choose Nigeria after this. But where you are located, your parents are located, that's where you are born. But I hope the security agencies and, of course, the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, the president of Nigeria, will see the need for all hands to be on deck to rescue not only the latest group of captives, that is, those who were captured during that train attack, but all others who are still languishing in kidnappers' den. Of course, as for the National Assembly and its amendment to Terrorism Act, I think they should take a look at that baby again and ask the question, if the parents were asked to pay ransom to get this baby out, after they have passed this law, will they consider that an offense if the parents pay to bring out this baby? Now let's look at other newspapers. The Guardian newspaper, Electoral Act. I didn't order Senate to remove Section 8412, Buhari tells court. Says he only expressed concern. Malami, only appeal court can overturn judgment against Section 8412. Bajabiamile advises political appointees to resign. Falana describes Section 84 as draconian. APC insists Amechi Ngige Mwajiba not obliged to resign before Monday. Well, for those who have decided not to resign, of course, quoting the law that the Constitution is a ground norm and the Act cannot override constitutional provisions. Of course, there is a court ruling that said that section should be deleted. The president said he did not ask the Senate to remove Section 84. But his Attorney General, who must have gotten his consent, went to court to say, and got a judgment to say that that section should be deleted. So what's the difference? Well, the problem we have here is, if we may just go back a little bit, when you write law with certain people in mind, you run into this kind of problems. Recall that the first amendment which the president declined to sign last year did not carry this provision. But because the legislators, they had in mind cutting the powers of governors who have their aides as delegates to congresses and even conventions, thought, how are they going to do that? Having expanded the options from a direct primaries to include indirect and, of course, consensus. And this session was one of their answers, if I may just conjecture here. Now, it's become a problem. But they're in court. The appeal court is looking at this matter because the National Assembly has challenged that judgment. But for those who have resigned at the state level, they have decided to err on the side of caution. For the ministers who are quoting the Constitution, well, they are within their rights to do so. And we just move over to other newspapers. Of course, the Nation newspaper also has the same story. Buhari to court, Electoral Act 8412 unconstitutional. Now, the Punch newspaper. Presidency, PDP reps, senior advocates of Nigeria warn Jonathan. Groups threatens suit. Ex-president can contest. It's risky. He will be ridiculed. Falana, Emeka Ngige. Reject APC. Buhari offer is offensive, disgraceful to all of us. PDP reps will go to court if Jonathan joins race. We won't tolerate impunity. Group. Now, if we look at the New Telegraph newspaper, also on the Jonathan affair, party chieftain Jonathan better in 2015 if APC gives him 2023 ticket. Queries party desperation to win presidency. Built roads, second Niger Bridge in southeast despite poor results from zone. Buhari tells court he didn't order Senate to remove Section 8412 Electoral Act. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, Bala Mohammed, Saraki under pressure as Northern elders intensify effort to get one consensus candidate to step down. So when that happens, what follows? The Northern elders will mobilize the delegates to vote for that one candidate. Well, we'll see how it pans out, even against the grain of the mood of the nation, that power has to shift from north to south. Having had a president, President Muhammadu Buhari from the north, for 8 years by 2023. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, the vice president, how I became VP, yes, Osinbajo, says he was surprised when Buhari nominated him as running mate. Intrigues that led to his nomination. Why I'm telling the story, how we chose Osinbajo presidency source. I am most prepared for president, Osinbajo is telling. Well, Vice President Osinbajo is going about his presidential ambition methodically, going around, and of course, he was in Edo State yesterday to garner the support of Edo delegates, but he made a stop at the palace of the Oba of Benin, Omonoba Nedo Uku Apolopolo, Iware II. And you can see the picture there. Did he get a special prayer like he got in Abeokuta? Well, that has not been reported, but I'm sure the Omonoba will have wished him well as he pursues his presidential ambition. But there may be obstacles. The Daily Trust newspaper is reporting APC presidential ticket, high stakes in Southwest as 5 aspirants eye ticket from Zone. Osinbajo, Tinubu, and Mosun. 2 others to split the zone's 1,568 delegates. We are waiting direction parties will take. Afenifere, we should strive for a national president. Well, for the Southwest, going into the field with 5 aspirants. Now, who will the delegates vote for? But as we know, Ogun delegates, under the watch of Dakwa Biodun, the energetic, hardworking governor of Ogun State, will be rooting for the vice president. He has already staked those delegates, if I may say. But Amosun is from that state. Does he stand a chance? Or is trying to play a spoiler? But he's within his right to contest, because if he's from Ogun State like the vice president, and many believe that the vice president stands a better chance, but we'll see how it pans out. But there's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Jagaban, whose political network, structure, also goes beyond even the Southwest. Who will carry the day remains to be seen. But the campaign continues. Now, other stories. The Daily Independent newspaper, Ramadan, Airlines raises fares to northern states by 167%. Fare determined by demand, supply. NCAA, Dana Air, they're insisting. Now, the Business Day newspaper, street food business, boom, as unemployment bites. Yes, many who lost their jobs have since gone into other businesses. And the food business seems to be thriving. Many have invested their retirement benefits in food business. So that's a good one. People being thinking out of the box, as it were.
Pivot there.
Yes.
Okay, Emmanuel Efeni, let's take a quick break. After that break, we'll come back. And the review of the headlines in some of today's newspapers will continue with Emmanuel Efeni. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Emmanuel Efeni is still here with us with a review of top stories in some of today's newspapers around the world. Back to you, Emmanuel.
Yes, Robert. Let me just take a few other Nigerian stories before we look at the foreign newspapers. Now, the Punch newspaper has another story. Of course, youth corpers. The Punch newspaper, 65 corps members to repeat service in Ondo. Others, yes, apparently those corpers, youth corpers who have not been diligent in their service, they have to do a repeat. While the Daily Sun newspaper has a story beside the masthead. Masob warns Igbo leaders, governors over Southeast presidency. Says Ndigbo won't tolerate sabotage, whatever that means. Who is sabotaging who in this case? But if we just move over to the Daily Independent newspaper, another story below the photograph, the Daily Independent newspaper. Labour threatens strikes over federal government's negligence of ASU. ASU vows to resume suspended strike next week. Yes, university lecturers are still on strike. I don't want to say they're happy about it. But Labour, the Nigerian Labour Congress, is wading in that they will have a warning strike to compel the federal government to go and negotiate or reach an agreement with the lecturers. Thereafter, perhaps they too will declare month-long or year-long strike. But all this will just be destroying the university system, the public university system for that matter. So, for the federal government, Emeka Nwajuba, yes, Minister of State for Education, who wants to be president? Perhaps he wants to solve the problem of ASU when he becomes president. So before then, should our children continue to roam the streets when they are supposed to be in the universities receiving lectures, adding more years to their studies? But between the Minister of Education, Adamu, the Minister of State, Emeka Nwajuba, the Minister of Labor, Dr. Chris Ngige, who also wants to be president. Is it when you become president you will solve this problem? Or the problem will go away before you become president? Will just vanish? So I think they should show more commitment to resolving this issue before it becomes too late for many of these students. Some have lost one academic session. They are at the verge of losing another academic session. As for ASU, the lecturers, they must also find a way to meet the government halfway. If you have an obstinate government, as intellectuals, you must also think twice so that you don't destroy the system you claim you want to rescue from degeneration. Now, the foreign newspapers, the Financial Times of London, Biden asked Congress for $33 billion in extra aid to support Ukraine. $20 billion for military assistance. Plea follows Putin's threats. U.S. economy contracts. Now, the Guardian newspaper, the Guardian of London, Biden defies Putin's threats by doubling aid for Ukraine. But the Daily Telegraph, I think, has another story also on Ukraine. Britain to send 8,000 troops to Eastern Europe. Exercise to deter Russia as UK national is killed fighting in Ukraine. Yes, former soldier Scott Sibley fighting for Ukraine was killed by the Russians in that war. Troops will take part, these troops they are sending to Eastern Europe will take part in military exercises after being sent to countries from Finland to North Macedonia, alongside tens of thousands of NATO troops from the joint expeditionary allies, including Sweden. The Ministry of Defense is saying that these are tough soldiers they are sending down. And Ben Wallace, the Defense Secretary, is adding that Europe's security has never been this important. Tundu, is this an escalation we are waiting to see? Or just the unintended consequence of Putin's gambling? Because what we are seeing, NATO forces lining up on the border of Russia from the other end. Ruben and Tundu, over to you.
You now have Putin talking about how he has weapons that others cannot boast of having, and that he's not boasting, he's actually going to use them. That's a quote, and that's really scary. We're looking at World War III. Horrendous.
We just hope we not get
very aggressive.
I really hope not.
Attacking Kiev and threatening retaliation. Now that, the U.S. Is providing aircraft, fighter jets for Ukraine, and the UK, we're told, is sending troops, but an escalation of the crisis between Russia and Ukraine will do nobody any good, because it's one of the reasons that is cited, by the Bretton Woods institutions at their spring meeting for, the economic crisis, for the disruptions in supply that we face. Any further escalation, will further disrupt, and upend the rest of the world. And that's why we hope that at some point diplomacy will prevail. Dealing with a man like Putin, who seems like he doesn't care. For him, it's an end game. And that end game he's been planning for a very long time. And the West, seems to be less prepared to confront him. Sanctions, all kinds of measures, abandonment of oil and gas supply by very few countries. Airline restrictions in terms of traffic to Russia and all of that. Russia kicked out, all kinds of things have been done. But Putin appears unrelenting. But it's the rest of the world, the impact on the rest of the world, that we need to really worry more about. Even the United Nations is totally helpless, as it seems.
Oh, yeah. He was bombing Kiev while Guterres was there.
What was visiting?
What does that tell you?
No, but when a superpower, a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council is involved, the UN is usually powerless.
Yeah.
This is not the first time.
But
whether it's America or Russia, usually powerless.
Okay, Feni, I wanted you to comment further on that story about what is going on in the APC.
Yeah.
Now, what is happening now is that the party, quoting Section 3I of its constitution, is saying that all the persons who are interested in running in taking part in the primaries should 30 days ahead resign their appointments if they are holding appointive positions. Now, the primaries for governorship, Senate, federal, and state houses of assembly will hold between May 18 and 23. Now, many of the persons who have shown interest who are in appointive positions, they have not resigned as of this moment. So is this a way of weeding out such persons? The second thing is that those who are interested in the presidential race, who are in the cabinet, the likes of Amechi, Ngige, Nwajuba, they have till Saturday.
Yeah.
That's till tomorrow.
Yeah.
To resign, or the party says it will bar them. So are we looking at a situation whereby, these affected ministers and persons, including the Attorney General of the Federation, the Chief Law Officer of the Federation,
who wants to be governor of Kebbi State?
In Kebbi State, will be prevented from taking part in the party primaries. So APC has that to deal with. I guess the biggest defense that they will offer is the position taken by Nwajuba, that the Constitution does not say you must resign before primaries. What the Constitution says in Section 66 is that you resign 30 days before the election. So you have three legal instruments on the table now. You have Section 3I of the APC Constitution. You have Section 66 of the Nigerian Constitution. You have
the party guidelines.
8412, of the party guidelines. Okay. Then you have Section 8412 of the Electoral Act 2022. Well, I guess the biggest defense is to say that the Constitution is supreme.
It's a ground law.
So will they take the party to court? But I guess the party is trying to play safe. Just in case 8412 succeeds at the appeal court, and just in case something happens and the Constitution is amended accordingly, well, the other question would be, would that amendment have retroactive effect? So, as I said, these politicians, they must have been talking to their lawyers.
Yes.
Yeah, but my issue is this. If you're going to be sponsored on a party's platform, then you must adhere to their guidelines. However, like you've said, the Constitution is the ground norm, and whatever provisions are in your party guidelines are null and void and of no effect to the extent that they contradict. Yeah, the Constitution. So, it's quite clear. The best thing to do, though, after all is said and done, I would feel, is just to err on the side of caution and just resign. If I was them, I would.
Well, on the scale of things, of course, obviously, the Constitution is the ground norm. Perhaps if you talk of hierarchy, maybe the Electoral Act will come second.
Yeah,
then the party guidelines. But I think from some of the reports, the party may not go to that extreme of disqualifying those who have not resigned, because they can also go to court citing the Constitution.
And why would that be your guidelines? If you can't enforce it, then it makes the rest of your guidelines just not even worth the paper it's printed on.
Yes. So it's a problem the APC has to deal with, especially with the court cases. And I also read somewhere that a court in Ibadan had earlier okayed Section 8412. I read in one of the reports. So, of course... No,
but another court in
Umahia. So,
yes, it was not the Attorney General that went to court, as you said. It was, a busybody. It was a busybody action.
A busybody.
It was a busybody action. The man went there and he joined the Attorney General of the Federation. And Abubakar Malami SCN said he had no objections to the suit.
Well,
so the court ruled that 8412 should be removed from the electoral.
Okay, he did not go to court.
No, he wasn't there.
But his position also influenced, must have converted to the judgment.
He said he had no objection.
He was going to really, very speedily.
So it's not as if he was an unbiased person in that matter. He had a position.
Well, you can read it that.
His no position was a position.
Well, you can read it that.
Yes.
But he was supposed to now get that section expunged from the Electoral Act, on account of which the National Assembly went to court to say this will amount to an usurpation of the functions of the legislature.
Of course.
And at the time, Gbajabiamila said, even a comma in the piece of legislation cannot be changed by anybody. It will have to come back to the National Assembly.
Even the
And he was
suggestion
right
is
about it.
outrageous, quite frankly.
Well, so we'll just wait and see how APC wangles its way through this network of legal hurdles.
The final comment on APC, it's very clear that in the APC is enough that will determine who will emerge as presidential candidate. Because if you put all the votes, all the delegate numbers in the South, because you were talking about number of delegates in
the Southwest.
If you put all the number of delegates together in the entire South, it's not up to Northwest, North Central, Northeast combined. So, and if you look at the Southeast is divided right down the middle. Every state in the Southeast has a presidential aspirant. So they are going to share the votes. In the Southwest, the votes will be shared because now we have Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have the Vice President, we have the name of Governor Fayemi of Ekiti State has been included. Senator Ibikunle Amosun has also declared. So even in the Southwest, it's going to be divided down the middle. So the battleground really is in the North. Northeast has almost 2,000 delegates.
Yes.
Northwest has similar number. In the South, if you look at it, the biggest delegate number is from the Southeast. Even Southwest has a lower number. So all of that divided can be cancelled out by just one zone in the North.
Assuming that we have direct or indirect primaries, what about a consensus candidate that's foisted on the party? It's possible.
With the way APC is going now, I don't think they will have
but the
president
president also said he has a joker close to his chest.
You never know.
Wow.
So if he throws his weight behind one candidate,
well,
like he did in the case of the chairmanship of APC,
will he do so?
Even when 19 governors were saying
for me,
no.
I don't rule anything out at this point.
You know how many of the aspirants have said, I have the president's blessing?
No, blessing.
Governor Ayade.
No, blessing.
The president.
No, blessing is
the VP. We're told he's the president. Everybody.
No, the president blesses everybody.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Like a traditional ruler?
Yes, he bless everybody.
Okay.
But when he say he has one person close to his chest, if he names the person now, too early, they may kill the person. So I take the president for his word. So we are waiting.
I do too. Anything is possible.
We are waiting. But of all these people, I'm also waiting to see all those who have paid the 100 million naira. Not just announcing.
Dave Umahi has paid. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has paid. One businessman paid on his behalf.
One check.
Governor Yahaya Bello has paid. So
as Ayade paid.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
as Fayemi paid.
Maybe one businessman or a group
hasn't announced anything.
But
he's consulting.
But it's been touted as.
But he said he's consulting.
So when you pay your 100 million naira, we know you are serious. Then we'll start looking at your chances. I will adopt that Tedo Peter side.
Did you hear the story about how nomination forms money at the APC secretariat was stolen?
Please, they had better secure the 100 million before, because 10 aspirants will give you 1 billion. We don't want to hear that snake eats that money.
No, snake has eaten $75,000. One paper reported, and nobody has refuted it. Anyway, thank you very much, Emmanuel.